Good afternoon and welcome everybody. My name is Danny McAtee and this is my friend and colleague CT Duel. This is the Forge Mentor. Welcome. How are you, CT?
Doing well, brother. Doing well. Welcome, everybody. Thank y'all for joining. How are you doing, Maxie?
Doing great. I've had a really productive day today. I got up early. I kept my phone off until the right
Uh,
time. I'm getting like back into the groove of not rolling out of bed and immediately checking my phone.
that's a big one, man. That's a big one. That
Feels very
really
different.
of your day.
What's that?
I find that it really impacts the trajectory of your day.
Big time.
You
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
big one.
for me, biologically, physiologically, everyone, we talk about men's issues, but a lot of what we talk about is men's issues, but also human issues because it's our biology, right? So in the morning, the first light that hits our face should not be blue light from a device. It should be sunlight, right? Sunlight turns off melatonin in the body. It allows endorphins to start flowing, right? It turns off the sleeping and turns on the being productive and attentive in the world. And when we turn on blue light and shove it in our face first thing in the morning, it fucks up a lot of the natural processes that we use in our circadian rhythms. So it's important to me. I'm going to hold myself accountable to this. And I thought that we would introduce a theme. We've spoken about this theme on lives before, but CT and I both agree that it's good to check in on this theme every once in a while. And the topic today is if I were the bravest version of myself, I would blank. What do you got, Duel?
Already in the hot seat, man. Let's get it. Um, I just want to say I agree on the circadian thing. It's huge, and at night too, right? Blue light going into your eyes at night is like that's the least human thing. When would that happen in human history, right? So it's important. It's important. So thanks for expanding on that. If I were the bravest version of myself, I'm gonna give you something that's relevant to my more um, recent developments, and that is I would be more compassionate with myself. If I were the bravest version of myself, I would be more compassionate with myself. Right?
Say more.
Yeah.
Holy
It's
shit.
kind of this kind of gets at a bigger point, right, of how we men tend to think about the world and ourselves. But it almost sounds counterintuitive, right? Like being bold and being brave, that's and being compassionate. That's kind of two different things. But I'm starting to see that it requires boldness, bravery, fear facing, and just the utmost self acceptance to be compassionate with yourself in the face of mistakes, right? So that's where I'm at right now, man. That's where I'm at. It's not for me. It's not like if I were the bravest version of myself, I would go take this risk and like do this job or quit this job. Or that's where I'm at, man. Just I would just be fucking self compassionate to myself. What about you, man?
Oh no, no, not yet. Hold on.
You're like, whoa, we gotta unpack that.
Pump your brakes. The concept, you kind of blew my mind a little bit with the concept of compassion requiring bravery. And I wonder for you, what is it about compassion that requires bravery? Self compassion in particular.
I think we can. I think we tend to conflate compassion with weakness. I think we tend to, yeah, if we if we allow ourselves to be fully compassionate and give grace, then somehow we're being soft on ourselves. And I think that triggers a lot of these identities that we attach ourselves to as men, right? With I got to be hard, I got to go hard, I got to beat myself up when I make a mistake. I can't make mistakes. I got to be perfect. Always got to be on, winning, productive. So I think in the face of a mistake, a setback, a failure, a multi-month dip, right? In mood, energy, wins, everything, right? I think we tend to just be like, come on, dude, suck it up. get it together. What the fuck? Like, we gotta be perfect. Like, what? You're not winning. You're not doing it right. Come on. So, yeah, man. For me, it's just like it requires some balls, right? To just be like, no, I'm okay. I'm human. I make mistakes. You know, I like just recently, man. I just admitted to myself fully that, like, okay, I've been struggling for a few months. I've been in this kind of this dip, this low, and the old me might have just said, how do I escape it as quickly as possible? How do I make sure that never happens again? How do I, like, act like, frame it as if it's terrible, as if it's a mistake, as if there's something wrong with me. Whereas now I'm trying to have self compassion and say, this is what I wrote down. Without darkness, there can be no light. You know, ups and downs are normal. Give yourself grace. Focus back on the wins instead of focusing on the losses.
Mm.
So, anyways, long-winded answer, man. But yeah, I think it does require facing the fear and facing the anxiety that challenging identities provokes to be compassionate with yourself.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. So what I think I'm hearing is that the bravery comes in when we are challenging ourselves to break a habit and accept that we're part of reality. And reality is there are dips. And that does not have to represent a failure. That doesn't have to represent that we're a pussy, a soft, whatever. Fill in the blank with your negative self-talk that you use. But I can see it. I can see why it takes bravery to show
Yeah,
self-compassion.
you summed it up perfectly, man. Yeah, that's it. Challenging the identity, right? As you know, when we humans come up against these identities that we attach ourselves to, man, that provokes a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
And in order to face anxiety, it takes bravery. So, yeah, in a nutshell,
Thanks for that. Thank
absolutely.
you for that. Yeah, I'm gonna think a lot. I'm gonna put a lot more thought about how this applies to me because I do struggle with self-compassion and I do go very fast to judge myself, kick myself in the ass about you didn't do this or that, or you know, did not enough of that and too much of that. You weren't productive enough, whatever. And so I'm gonna try to be brave and more compassionate.
Man, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I struggle with that too. I think a lot of us do. I wasn't productive enough. I wasn't. Yeah, fuck. That's the classic.
Yeah, I think a lot of us. I mean, I'm certainly like the poster child for this, but a lot of us, mistake movement for productivity.
Right.
So if I'm spinning around and running around everywhere, that somehow tricks me into feeling like I'm productive when I've actually just burned a lot of calories and not really done much. Right? My deliverables at the end of moving around a lot are very low or zero, whereas when I'm focused, structured, rested, not on my phone a lot, then my productivity is actually really high and my movement actually is lower. Right? So I become more efficient.
Yeah. Yeah. Now your output's higher for less expenditure. Yeah, man. I'm curious. How would you answer the theme today? The topic. What would you if you were your bravest self?
If I were my bravest self, I would own the fact that I'm a people pleaser. If I were the bravest version of myself, I would get intimate with my feelings of inadequacy and feeling like I always have to be performative for people to like me, notice me, be with me, right? Be present.
Mm,
And I would be brave enough to accept that when I change that behavior or continue to change that behavior in the way I've begun to a little bit, I'm going to take some losses. There's going to be collateral damage. And for me, because as I've done this work and identified like what are the things that hang me up in terms of the 5 core human fears, rejection is a big one. So someone volunteering me, dumping me, leaving me, not fucking with me anymore, like not not calling me back, saying they're going to call and not calling, whatever triggers a rejection in me. So it's something that I haven't totally solved about where it comes from or not. I grew up two parents that were present. They were married the whole time. I mean, I knew who they both were. I lived with them. So I'm not exactly sure where that comes from, but if I were the bravest version of myself, I would understand that there are going to be some probably uncomfortable adjustments when I'm authentic.
Mm. Realest shit I ever heard, man.
I mean, we
Realest shit.
talked about a big one. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that was it. You got it, man.
We have a little delay, so I'll try to pause a little bit more. I'll cut you off.
No worries.
Brazil's not coming through with the Wi-Fi this week. Last week it was like perfect. I guess they dumped Elon after all. We've talked about that. I made a decision about my marriage. Right, I was like, I am not authentic, and when I am, I cause conflict. And so, in order to not cause conflict, I was consciously not being authentic. Right, consciously not being authentic, consciously suspending or changing our ethics, morals, and principles in time will cause moral injury, right? It causes the friction of, I know that this is right for me, but I'm choosing not to do it to make someone else comfortable. It's a lose-lose situation. What that typically looks like in men is slow bird for a long time and then pop off when you can't take it anymore, right? Yeah, for a lot of us, it's the case. And so for me, I decided, well, I can feel pressure building, and so I'm going to relieve it now. And that was my decision to take a very big collateral loss in order to not completely abandon myself any more than I had.
Mm. How did that feel to not abandon yourself, or at least not abandon yourself as much as maybe you would have
It
in a
felt
past
terrible.
life?
It felt terrible. It felt terrible because, we've said it 1,000 times. Our nervous system moves us toward a comfortable chaos, right? What I
Oh, yeah.
do know is that, um, I don't know how deep and personal I want to get, but my mom was very reactive, right? She was extremely reactive. And so in order to try to influence that, I made myself as small as possible, right? It's like, don't make mommy mad. Um, and that echoes in my adult life as well. So it felt terrible because for a while I was like, everything's burning down around me because I just was um, learning how to show up as myself a little bit more and finally say, I notice that I'm showing up this way and you're reacting this way, and I wonder what that's coming from, and can we fix it? And when the answer was no, 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 I was like, oh, okay, I can tell you how to fix it.
Man, you're making a massive point, man, in this idea of like doing something different, even if it serves you, doesn't necessarily feel good. Like this point of I didn't like what I just asked you. How did it feel to not abandon yourself? And you said it felt terrible.
Horrible.
What? Something good felt terrible? Exactly. That's the
Mhm.
crux of change, I think, right? And that's what keeps us going back to the old coping mechanism that used to serve us, I think. Right? So yeah, man, that's a powerful point. Doing something new felt like shit. How do you do it again? How do you keep doing it when it feels like shit? Right? I guess it gets easier over time.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe, or maybe not. It's still very new to me. So I don't know that I've been showing up authentically very much. I mean, I think it's pretty recent change for me. But what I can say is that the intellectual resolution of me being like, this feels uncomfortable because it's new. This feels uncomfortable because I don't have stability in it yet because it's new. But I know that I chose the right thing for me. I'm completely convicted about that. I made the right choice for me and my principles, and I'm going to ride it out because if it's me or you, I pick me. In the past, if it was me or you, I picked you to make sure that you didn't have a reaction that was uncomfortable to me. And
Mhm.
over time, I just gave so much of myself away that it was like, well, who the fuck even am I if I can't stand up for anything? And I think that this is a very common issue with men is that many of us avoid emotional conflict, right? Tell me if this sounds familiar. You come in and your girl was like, I asked you to wash the dishes. I asked you to do this. I asked you to do that. I'm in a bad mood. I have a headache, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, no problem. I'm just going to run down to the store real quick. I'll be right back. And you take a hard left and go to the bar room. And you stay there and you turn off your phone and, you have everything you want, Instacarted over to the bar that you were sent out to get. And you sit there for 2 hours and then go back because you didn't want to get into it.
Yeah, right. Avoiding that emotional conflict. Yeah.
I did it for a long time. And to me, I was just like, and this was part of like the whole experience and doing the sacred medicine on my 50th birthday. I'm like, why am I doing it? What do I think that I'm winning, or what is my subconscious trying to avoid or get by me doing that? And it's the same thing, like an uh, a familiar chaos or an unfamiliar peace. I'm like, I want peace in my life, and if I have to go through like, a little Brazilian waxing of my emotions, my soul, I just fucking wax it. Like, just do it.
When did you start doing that? That to keep with that analogy, the Brazilian wax of emotions of being like, all right, let's feel this, let's do it. When did you start sitting with your emotions instead of taking a left to the bar room?
I would say probably in August of 2020 when I went to the West Coast post trauma retreat as a client.
Mm.
Because I was so worn down and so frustrated and so exhausted, and I just didn't fucking care anymore. And in my mind, I was kind of like, I'm gonna go try this one last thing. It probably won't work, and then I'm just done. And then I got there, and because I had that attitude, I went in there. I was like, "Oh, you want me to open up about some uncomfortable shit? Here you go." I just like let it all out because I'm like, "Fuck it, I don't even care." I was in such a bad mood. I had no bandwidth to anticipate someone's negative reaction. So I would just like puked it all out. And as a result, I was like, wow, that felt really good. And I think that in particular, the group work I've been doing since that time. So it's almost like 5 years now, 4 years and change. Consistently every week since 2020, I've been in groups. 2 groups a week, often 3 groups a week, sometimes at least one every week since that time. So for me, I think that it started around that time when I got to be gradually more comfortable with this concept of why exactly am I like seated in this behavior? Remember the dog shock experiment we talked about, where
Yeah.
for the listeners, for the viewers, there was this what I think is a very inhumane experiment where they took a dog and they put it in a kennel, and the floor of the kennel was electrified on one side of the kennel, and the other floor was not electrified. And so they put the dog in there and would shock it on one side, and the dog would move over to the non-electrified side. Right. Then what they did is they put a partition so the dog was only on the electrified side and began to shock it. And in a very short period of time, the dog stopped reacting and just accepted, I just get electrocuted now. Right. And so then what they did was then they removed the partition, but the dog stayed on the electrocuting side, right, on the shocking side. And so for me, the parallel in my behavior was like, I'm sitting here taking this and I'm looking at the open door. Why?
Yeah, huge example. That's a really good example. And like what but before, like, were you completely closed off to this idea of sitting with your feelings, talking about it, feeling it? Were you one of those guys that kind of goes from like the classic male response, right? Which is avoid the shit entirely. I don't have emotions. I'm not opening up, blah blah blah, to like, oh, there's something to this? Or was it like a gradual thing?
I'm not sure I understand your question. Was my response like a typical guy of just shutting down and avoiding?
I'm saying like, did you? So the what I'm calling the typical male response to emotions
Mm.
is to avoid them, and I've done this
Oh,
plenty of.
yeah.
For
Yeah.
you, man, for some of us, that shifts at a discrete point. Like it sounds like with this experience, it did. So you kind of went from avoiding emotions to, oh shit, there's something to this opening up thing.
Yeah.
There's something healing thing.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely have always been suppress and avoid for sure. Suppress, distract, and avoid. And
Yeah.
be the, the internalized, which a lot of many people over the years have told me about. Like, I have a very cold exterior, and then they're like, once I start talking, once they meet me, get to know me, they're like, oh, he's actually like a really just a regular guy, but we thought you like had the 1,000-yard stare and you were just fucking cold and dead inside, because I would just always be like, no, I'm good, no, I'm fine, do you want to talk about this? Don't need to talk about anything, I'm good. And so, yeah, I think I did have that. There was one thing that came up though, because when my mom died was the first time ever that I cried and grieved openly and publicly, because the grief was so overwhelming. I just couldn't hold it. But I also made a conscious decision where I was like hiding it, and someone came in the room, and I turned my head away. And then I remember a voice in my head being like, "If not when your mom dies, when?
Mm.
Like, you're entitled." And so I was just like, "Ah, fuck it, I just let it go." And as a result, I was able to healthily grieve that situation, that loss. But no, over time, and I think that as I've gotten older, I've realized that I just care so little about what people think of me in those ways. And I realized that also most people don't think of me. You know what I mean? I think that we assume that people are developing opinions of us and react as though they were, or assume that they are. And I realized as I've gotten older that most people don't have time to think about me.
Yeah, or
That's in my
anyone.
head.
What was that?
It's in my head. I mean, it was like, it's like an assumption that I based a reality on. When in time I realized these people are not thinking about me and my reactions, and how much if I'm a man or not. I mean, this is in my imagination mostly, and so I just let it go. And the people who really do think that, I could fucking care less. Honestly, it's like, when you want to pay my rent and my bills, come and talk to me about anything you want. But until you're paying my rent and bills, don't bother me.
Yeah, that's true freedom, man. Like the knowledge that most people don't have time to think about you or anyone outside of themselves, and if they do, who cares? Like that's moving around the world with fucking freedom, man.
If I were the bravest version of myself, I would just do what I needed to do. And, always, this is not with any malintention for anyone, or any malice or intention for hurting, offending people. But if I were the bravest version of myself, I would just be me without thinking about that. You don't like it? I came in, and being in San Francisco for so long, it was like, it was so exhausting to think of the long list of words and things we couldn't say, name, refer to, be involved in. And so, because something bad could happen to us, or we could get written up at work, or have to go to human resources, or get canceled, or whatever else, be called a racist. Um, and so I spent a lot of the last part of my career editing everything that I said,
Hmm.
right? Don't call anyone any kind of pronouns. Don't even try to find out what the right one is. Just skip it. What's your name? Bobby Joe? Okay, Bobby Joe. And when I retired, and when I moved out, I was like, one of the biggest reliefs for me was like, I no longer have to try to predict how I will get in trouble for expressing my words.
Yo, that's some Orwell shit, man. That's some Orwell shit. That's like thought control. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah. And so now I'm just like, I mean, I sort of have turned old. You know what? Like when you bring your parents, or like one of your uncles or some older relative to the party, and they say something, you're like, "Fuck! Oh my god! I can't believe they fucking said that." That's me.
And
That's
that's the
me
cool.
now.
That's the cool fucking uncle, man. Hey, he's gonna talk shit and let him talk his shit. Yeah, that's every family member I have. That's yeah, fuck it, man. I think that's what part of I don't know if it's part of getting older. It's part of just not giving a fuck, not giving as much of a fuck. If I was the bravest version of myself, I just wouldn't give as much of a fuck. Let's be real, you know. Shout out to the four agreements, man. Take nothing personally. Don't make any assumptions.
Be
Don't talk shit.
impeccable with your word.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And do your best.
Yeah.
Fucking clap.
I really wish I could find out how to get people on here. If anyone's watching and wants to come on here, just send me a text, I guess. I don't know. I want you to be able to comment. I'm not exactly sure how to do it.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Yeah, that is the one thing.
Yeah, if anyone wants to, though, send me a text and I'll invite you to physically come on the screen with us. And let's see if that works. Let me just try
Invite
this.
you now so you can come on this. No, but yeah, we'll figure that out. We'll figure it out for the future lives, how to get people in, get people engaging. But yeah,
Well, I
man.
just sent an invite. I just sent an invite to someone. Let's see if it works.
Oh hell yeah. Let's go. So yeah, that's really it. Like if I were the bravest, there's a lot of things to be honest. It's a really good topic. If I were the bravest version of myself, I would not care what anyone thinks. I would not judge myself so harshly.
Mm.
You know, I heard a quote the other day, man, that it's kind of along this line, and it was about. You may have seen this. It was like a post. He was saying the Queen of England like was one of the most powerful people, acquired tons of wealth, millions and millions of dollars, blah blah blah. And you haven't thought about her since she died 18 months ago.
That's
So it's like the point is, no matter who the fuck you are, we live, we die, people move on, people forget, and that's okay. Do you do what you want? You know, that was kind of the point of it, right?
Yeah.
Be you. Because imagine living a whole life and then being forgotten, but the whole life you lived was just confined, worried about what people think, taking someone else's path. So it's like if I was the bravest version of myself, I would just take my own path, chart my own path, not give a shit. Of course, be good to people, respect people, show compassion to others, but not give a shit about others projecting and fears and insecurities and all that.
What would need to be true for you to be able to be the most brave version of yourself?
What would need to be true for me to be able to be the bravest version of myself? I think I already am. Fuck. Yeah. You stumped me with that one. Shit.
Hey, get back to me.
I'm gonna get back to you. But I don't know. Yeah. I'll tell you this. When charting your own path, I'll have periods where have a lot of conviction. Like, yeah, I'm gonna make this work. I can do anything. You know, I have a lot of self belief and conviction, and I think it's like this for everyone. And then I'll go through periods where I'm like doubting it, right? And my nervous system is craving some familiarity, even though that's not really what I want, right? So I'll start to think about corporate job, right? I'll go 6 months, fuck corporate, never going back, never doing that, positioning myself for freedom, and then I'll go through a month or two where I'm like, I mean, the money's good, it's like, so yeah, man, that doesn't really directly answer your question, but
Well, are you able to detect a pattern when every 6 months or so, when you feel like, money's good, maybe I'll go back and dip into it? Are you able to detect what pushes you to think that way?
That's another really good question.
I'll tell you, for me, it's money. It's very clear. When I was working and making six figures and had six figures saved up and was investing in all blah, blah, blah. Yes, I was miserable most of the time, but no, I didn't have to be like, should I go out to eat twice this week? I didn't have to
Yeah,
do that because I had money to spend, but I was dying inside. You know,
right.
I was very unhealthy, but if I wanted to go sit on the water, have a drink and a steak, I could. And so for me, like that, the relief of instant gratification sometimes is like, did I dip out too early? You know what I mean? I have a great life, but I don't spend without watching.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. Sometimes we forget to how it felt to be dying inside but have money. Like we just remember the having money part, right? Of being able to go eat out whenever the fuck you want, whatever. But we forget that it came with a lot of baggage, with a lot of other shit, you know. But yeah, that's kind of it. You nailed it, man. I think it's also for me. It's also when things are not going according to plan, when things are going left, when things just aren't working. Maybe not everything is on fire, but there's just no motion. There's no. It's just kind of dead. You know, it's kind of a dud. Like with the business efforts and the financial freedom efforts and all that. So that for me, it's like, man, there's just not as much fucking motion and traction and progress as I thought there would be by this point. So that makes you start to question everything as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Makes sense. It makes a lot of sense to me.
Is our guest tapping in? I don't know who our guest is, but it's
No response from the mystery guest, but we'll see.
if he well, I don't even know if it's a girl, but they got to have a cutoff because that's
They them. Okay.
hey, whoa. Yeah. We'll leave it at that. Cutoff season. That's the thing. Man,
What else?
check this.
We can't have any dead air. What do you want to talk about? We have viewers.
We can cut it, dude. We can cut it like the damn sleeves. I'll just read you this quote I wrote down this morning when I was reading some stuff, and that is mindfulness equals recognizing our suffering and then embracing it, cradling it, almost saying to it, "Good morning, my pain, my sorrow, my fear. I see you. I'm here. Don't worry." Had to do that this morning.
I see you. I'm here. Don't worry.
Cradle the pain like a damn newborn baby.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Instead of
That's like an advanced level of sitting with it, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's sitting with it.
Yep.
Right.
100% sitting with it. That's an intimate acceptance when you're cradling it like a baby. It's like, I see your value now. I understand why you're with me, and you're welcome here now. The shaman that works with us at these sacred medicine retreats always says, he says it usually in Spanish, I think, but he always says, bendita droga, bendita dolor, blessed pain, blessed drugs. Because, mystery guest, connect your mic and cam. We have a mystery guest on deck.
Mystery guest in the building. Backstage.
Ooh, this will be exciting. This mystery guest is someone who's a mentor and a friend and really a hero of mine.
Let's go. I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
I want you to know that when someone joins, the wording in the studio says kick from studio, ban from studio.
Cancel.
Those are the commands on the thing. So, but no, when we talk about blessed drugs, blessed pain, it's because not to me the lesson is when we get to a place that we're so comfortable sitting with something that we avoided in the past, it becomes a blessing. Oh my God, Stephanie, welcome.
Hi.
How you doing, Stephanie? This is my friend and colleague CT Tool. I have a little
Hello.
echo here.
Stephanie, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Very good. We have
Thanks
a
for
question
inviting
for
me.
you. Oh, it's great to see you. There's an echo. Are you on your phone?
Yeah.
Can you hit the speaker and then hit it again and see if that fixes the echo? How about now? Can you hear? How are you hearing me?
I hear you good.
Okay, let's see. I'm getting it. Let me see right here.
Is it feedback or what is it?
Can't be feedback because I have headphones. It could be feedback on your side.
No, everything sounds fine.
All right, well, let's just deal with it. Here's the question. I'll just shut the fuck up and deal with it. So Stephanie is a colleague, a friend, and a mentor of mine who has guided me along a lot of this process. And Stephanie, here's a question we have for you that we asked of our guests. If I were the bravest version of myself, I would blank.
I would be fearless about what's going on in the world right now.
Say more.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, you would be fearless about what's going on in the world right now. Can you say more about that?
You know, things are so crazy and chaotic. And in the past, that would be what would take me down into my traumas and my past experience and whatnot. I think I'm in a better place, but I definitely feel the pull. And the battle that's going on with me right now is totally on a spiritual level because I know better, and it's I know better here, and I halfway know better here, and I've been directed to passages in the Bible or seeing my angel numbers, things like that give me the affirmation of things are okay, like just let go, and it's all by plan, and things will work out the way they're supposed to. But the battle is still there, right? I would say it's probably 70-30. 70, I'm on the positive side. 30, I'm starting to get pulled again. So for me right now, it's a real test to practice, to really go back to step one and just practice surrender. Because I get, as you know, Danny, because you know me a long time now, I can easily get pulled in. So that's kind of where I'm at. So if I was, the bravest version of myself, I'd be fearless right now. There's no real reason to be even tripping about what's going on because I know better. But that little demon comes back and it pulls me right in, and then it makes me want to suit up and do the old stuff I used to do, which would be 24/7 surveillance and trying to figure things out and trying to stay one step ahead. And that makes me go crazy. And I know that. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. If I was the bravest version, I wouldn't even be tripping right now, but I am. So working through it.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
If you think of the 30%, I mean, you talk about the 70% I'm good, 30% I get sucked in. If you think about the 30%, is there a part of being in fear 30% of the time that works for you, or that does something for you on a conscious or a subconscious level?
Yeah, I mean, it's familiar and I know how to function in that 30% really well. To my detriment though, is otherwise I wouldn't be where I'm at now in this road of recovery. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think that 30%, there's some skill set in there that's still helpful. And I think that if things were to go sideways, I know that I can rely on that 30%. But the battle within that 30% is not getting sucked in to the negativity. So realizing that, yeah, there's a lot of skill set there that's really good, and it got me forward in these 55 years. But what I have to be careful of is stepping on the landmine of getting really caught up in it to where it's not serving me. So yes, can it serve me? Sure. But yeah, that's where the battle is. Not to let it consume me, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, makes
And
sense.
that's the practice. That's the exercise I have to do, right? Is not let it consume me. Yes, honor it. Yes, know that it can be really helpful. Yes, I know how to use it in good ways, but not get consumed by it. Just know it's there if I need it, but not to be consumed by it. So that's my challenge, is to not get consumed.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
When you feel like you're moving into the 30%, or when one day you're like, oh shit, I'm in the 30% zone, and I'm staying here. What's your mechanism for either avoiding it and resisting moving into it, or moving out of it once you get into the 30% fear zone?
So I'm snapping out of it quicker these days, but I have to be really intentional. So today, for an example, before I started to get sucked in a little bit, and then I just, you know what, turned everything off, put on some music, and I went outside and I started pulling weeds. I just got my hands dirty, I got sweaty, and I just got outside. I had to get outside and just kind of my own little piece of dirt here that, I have. So I have to be really intentional. And so I did that. And then I did some stuff around the house, but then I sat down. And the minute I sat down, what's that old saying, idle hands or whatever? So the minute I sat down and I turned the music off, and I didn't turn the TV on, but I had the damn phone, and I just, oh, let's see what's going on since I last checked in on the world.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's literally a drug. I have to admit it. I mean, it's. I think there's a part of me that is still really addicted to that adrenaline rush, that tone, that, even though I'm so removed from it. Like I don't have to jump into action anymore. It's not my problem. But I there's a familiarity there, and it goes so deep, and it's so like innate and so inside of me that I have to be really careful. I have to pay attention, right? And so the minute I sat down, man, it was like boom, instant. It's literally like firing up a cigarette. It's that same sensation. Like what I miss most about smoking is, the pull out the cigarette, pull out the lighter, the initial hit,
Yeah.
the initial smells. It's that same, oh dude, it's that same thing when it comes to this stuff. I totally like, it's guttural, right? It's so deep. It's like in there. So I have to be really careful and just pay attention. So yeah, it's too easy, see, because all you have to do is look at your phone. You don't even have to turn the TV on. It's on your phone. It's everywhere. So I have to be really careful.
We've been talking about that a lot, and we've been talking about my my addiction to TikTok, and looking on the phone and laying down in bed and bargaining with myself, being like, I'm just gonna look at a video or two, just check the news, and 3 hours later, I'm like nodding off with the phone falling on my face.
I can't do that anymore. I used to do that at night, so now I'm very intentional. I go to bed, I put my phone on the charger, and I read. I don't even engage my phone, because I would do the same thing. I'd be up for hours looking. I would be sucked down every rabbit hole that you can find. So I've had to stop that. Now it's become a practice, so it's good, but it took a minute. But this stuff, when there's like world chaos going on, or protests, or anything that involves like, what I perceive as like a potential shit hit the fan situation or whatever, that's where I get amped up and ready to go. Like it's literally like I'm sitting in the patrol car all over again, like waiting for the next call, waiting to go to my death. That's kind of what I have to be careful of.
Can you give the viewers a little bit of background and context about why you have the 30% that you have?
So I am retired now. I was a police officer for 15 years. Before that, I was a rape crisis advocate. So I worked with law enforcement dealing with sexual assault victims. And before that, I was a fitness professional. So I think adrenaline has been my drug for a very long time. The part that the 30% part has always been in my life because of just how I grew up. I grew up in a rough little place in the city of San Francisco, and it was always about survival. But I think the job, it really brought that out in me. And so when initially I got to do the job, it was fun. It was that adrenaline rush from a fun perspective. Like it was like running and gunning. It was really fun. And then it kind of took a turn for me probably, I think the worst of it that hit me hard was during Ferguson, those riots. And that's when I first started to, I always worked gangs, I always worked intelligence. And so in 2012, when all that stuff kind of started going down, 2014 came around, it just got really dark for me because I kind of embedded. I was doing a lot of deep intel work, and so I kind of embedded in some of these groups, and I really started to lose hope and faith. It got really dark for me because I was unable to separate what I was seeing, what I was listening to, and realizing that this is a group, this is a small portion of people that are doing this. And I started to just pretty much think that everybody was this way. And so I couldn't see the good. I couldn't see anything positive going on. But at the same time, that also fed my addiction, right? Because the more deeper I got in it and the more I was listening to this stuff and the more I became convinced everybody either wanted to kill me or kill my coworkers or burn down the city. It's like I could not separate. It's like a mind with propaganda, right? I couldn't separate what I was seeing and what I was going through and realizing that, no, this is just what you're investigating. It's not the whole world. And that just took me down. It's a really bad path. And I just really never recouped from it. And I started getting angrier and angrier and less hopeful, less trusting, less happy, until it got to the point where I hit the wall. And then when I hit the wall, I had to really take a hard look at myself and go, okay, what's really going on? Like, well, I couldn't distinguish that there was any good in the world anymore. I mean, everything was just negative for me. And it's really shitty because I had a good marriage. I got a kid. Like, I have good things in my life, but I couldn't like enjoy that. I couldn't let that in. I was just so deeply involved in all this negativity. And so when I finally started to get to the point where I was numbing myself, not just with anger, but also alcohol and other things that I was doing, like really dangerous decision making. And someone had asked me, were you suicidal? And at that time, I would have said no, but I clearly had suicidal ideation because I was being very reckless and careless in my decision making on the streets, almost like wanting to self-fulfill this prophecy of, oh my God, the next call, I'm going to my death. Like, I wasn't doing anything to prevent that. I was like kind of looking for it. And so it got to the point where then I got help. And that started the journey to recovery. Now I can say all this because I'm cognizant of it. I was totally not aware of any of this stuff while it was going on. I had no idea how I was perceived. I didn't know how I was hurting people. Like, I was literally just walking around numb, full of anger, full of just, I wasn't violent because I didn't act out in the sense like to hurt people, but I was definitely punching things or doing violent things. So there was just this anger that had taken over my life. And so when we talk about that 30%, I can feel like some of that familiarity coming up, not to the extent that I'm just conscious of it. So now when it starts to kind of well up inside of me, I can say, oh, okay, I recognize that now. And I understand where it's coming from. And I don't need to lash out, or I can talk about it and not be embarrassed, or I can reach out. Like, I have skills now to deal with it. But primarily it's the recognition of it. I understand it. And I get when it's coming. And I feel what the triggers are. Now I know, like, all I have to do is turn the TV on. If I see one particular group or I hear some kind of a rhetoric, I'm like, okay, I know what that is. And I know how it's going to affect me. Sometimes I'm good at stopping listening to it. Other times I'm just sitting there like a drug addict, just taking it all in, So I have to just be really careful with it. And it's humbling because you just have to kind of go back to step one. For me, it's like working the steps. I have to go back to step one and just really work the program, because otherwise, I can't do anything with it. I'm not responsible for anything. I don't have to give anybody any intel briefs or sit reps or any of those other stuff. But I'm consuming it, right? I'm doing the same thing I used to do, which was consume it 24/7 and then tell everybody, hey, this is what's going on. I don't have to do that anymore, but I still get that rush. Like, oh, did I just find a little piece of intel that's important? Well, I got no one to report it to. So why am I even bothering? Because it's fun. And it's like, it triggers my drug addict brain, it's like, ooh. So it's awareness. It all comes down to awareness.
Thank you so much for that. we talk about two things that you brought up. Is our nervous system will always move us to a comfortable chaos before an unfamiliar beast, right? That's the 30%, right? That's the 30% for us, and we all have our own 30% or our own percent of that. I'd say mine's probably 40. I don't know. Probably trying to move the needle a little bit. So thank you for that. And the other thing is we draw the distinction between sitting in something or sitting with something. And I believe I just heard you say that you start noticing it and sort of sit with it and be like, okay, I know what this feeling is. I know where it comes from. I know how to manage it now. If I feel myself a little left, I can pull back to center and, change the behaviors, turn it off, put the music on, get in the garden, touch the earth, be grounded.
Yep.
CT, do you have any questions for Stephanie? This is your first time meeting.
No, I just want to thank you for sharing. That's powerful. I can relate to a lot. I've struggled with different mediums of this other thing, right? That addict going familiar stuff. So yeah, the describe it is it helps me resonate. I think all of us, right, in watching, realize that they're not the only one that goes through it. So yeah, just want to say thank you.
Thank you. I'll tell you, I never realized that anger was an addiction until I was so far gone that, like I said, I was making really poor decisions. It's funny because having worked in the social work, environment, I would I would recommend people, hey, you should go to this anonymous group, or, you should check out this, or anger management. I was really good at telling everybody else, like, hey, here's a good referral for you, right? Even when I was a cop, like, oh, you're addicted to this or that. So I was really good at telling everybody else, hey, here are these resources. But I didn't realize that whole time, coming from a childhood of alcoholism in the family and an alcoholic, rageaholic father, that was an addiction as well. Like, I sought that out because it was so familiar. And so it consumed me. But anger is no different than lighting up the cigarette, taking a drink, snorting, whatever your vice is. Anger it should be categorized the same way, right? Because it has the same effect on the brain, on the body, on the nervous system. But no one had ever really taught me that until I started to kind of get into these recovery rooms, and people were like, well, anger. And I was like, well, that's not a vice, but it is, because I can definitely tell you I was addicted to it. So probably the hardest one to overcome was the anger. Putting down a cigarette, not drinking, those things, yeah, they're not easy. But for me, my journey, the anger part, because it's really easy just to be pissed off all the time and be pissed off at everybody and just be a recluse and, MF everybody and this and that. So that was a big wake up call for me. And I think physically that had the biggest toll on me was the anger stuff, physically, not just emotionally, but physically, like my body and the way it manifests and the way it comes up for me. It's just, it wreaks havoc. So, and this is the kind of stuff that's going on in the world right now. This is why I have to be careful, because this stuff gets me pissed. And I know that, so got to cut it off.
I'd like to recommend that you spend some time just listening to the messaging coming from Brevard County sheriffs and Florida state officials. I think this may help to balance it out a little bit.
Yeah. I know. I saw that today and I just chuckled. I was like, why couldn't I have worked for somebody like that? But no. It's probably better I didn't.
Well, thank you. Listen, thank you so much for joining. This is the Forge men's group, but Stephanie is a gay man trapped in a female's body, so I think you get a pass for today.
Well, thank you for letting me invade your space.
No, you're always welcome, and I just thank you for being the first one who was there to open the door for me when I came in and my group was ready to fucking burn it down.
I feel you.
Yeah, a lot has changed since then.
Best thing that ever happened to me was you walking in that door, my friend.
Thank you. It's good to see you. I love you. And
Love
join another live. So CT and I both work with people individually and in group. We also believe that men process emotions, feelings, trauma much differently than women. We need a space to talk about it in a way that we can without having to protect anyone, edit ourselves, mute ourselves, not show anger so we don't feel like we're threatening, etc. And I know you know what I'm talking about. So please come back. We're going another live on Saturday and then another live on Monday. So anytime you like to jump on.
Well, thank you. I honor the space. I think it's great that you guys are doing it. I love men, so I'm all for you guys meeting and doing this work together because you guys need it too, just like the rest of us. So
Big time.
sacred space. Love you guys.
Bye, sis. Love you. Talk to you soon.
Excellent mystery guest.
Oh, it felt bad when it said kick from studio and I kicked my friend out. My God. What a jerk.
Yeah, they use some harsh words, man. StreamYard.
So we are getting close to an hour, but I just wanted to let you know that I was allowing Stephanie to guide that conversation, not having a chance to debrief her beforehand about, what do we share, what don't we share, what's the context, what's not. But so Stephanie was at the retreat that I went to as one of the staff when I got there, and each of us are paired up with someone that we resonate with. And so Stephanie was the one who was like, "Come with me, kid. You're going to be all right." So she has been a friend and a mentor for a long time, and we've connected very deeply. Grateful for her.
Oh, yeah.
Probably the reason that I'm doing this work started with her. So welcome guests, welcome people to join the studio, men or female. This is a men's group, but this is CT and I talking about the men's group. This isn't actually the men's group. So females can jump on and give your piece or tell us what you think we need to work on. Oftentimes the ones that see us the most clearly are you.
That's right, man. Yeah, I appreciate Stephanie for coming on, man. She seems like good people and dropped some good knowledge. So that was great.
She makes a focaccia that would change your fucking life.
Oh, she makes a what?
She makes a zuppa. She was the chef and made all organic food, prayed over the food, put a lot, handmade everything, all the rolls, all the bread was all handmade from scratch and organic. And so there's healing that comes from food that's prepared that way, I believe.
Oh yeah, man.
She makes a zuppa and a focaccia that'll blow your weave out. See, I'm proof.
Man, it sounds good. It sounds yeah. Gotta try it one day. Sounds delicious.
Excellent conversation. For those of you who are watching, my name is Danny McAtee. This is my colleague and friend, CT Duel. We have a men's group called The Forge. Put our contact information here on the bottom. Contact either one of us individually for more information. We're going to be starting the second round of this group very soon. And we would love to have you join the conversation. Thank you for joining us. Please spread the word and share this video. Could help us out. It's free for you. CT, any last words?
Nope. As always, well said, Danny. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And yeah, tune in. Come join us Saturday, Monday. Yeah, trying to do these regularly. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, Danny, for holding this space, inviting some good guests. And yeah, great conversation as always, man.
Awesome conversation. All right, my friend. We'll talk very soon.
All right, brother. Take care.